Forget the glossy brochures, forget the sales floor hype. We're cutting through the noise, we're clearing out the tribe. From the pre-construction promises to the skyline dust. They talk about the boom, but do they mention the bust? The headlines scream luxury, but the numbers don't lie. It's time to look the market straight in the eye. Welcome to the Miami Condo Exchange, where we break down the price, the scope and the range. With Peter Zalewski, the authority here, making the complex simple, making the murky clear. From the buy-side pressure to the sell-side heat, we're tracking every move on the concrete street. We got the data, the stats, the metrics you need. Beyond the flash and the glamour, we're planting the seed of truth. We analyze the trends, we map out the spread. Is it vintage charm or a money pit trap? We're looking at the analytics, closing the gap. Past performance, present shock, future prediction. Separating hard reality from the friction of fiction. No sugarcoating, no fluff, no disguise. Just the raw condo numbers right before your eyes. South Florida is shifting, the tides start to turn. If you don't know the math, you're gonna get burned. Yeah, this is the Miami Condo Exchange. Welcome to the Miami Condo Exchange, where we break down the price, the scope and the range. With Peter Zalewski, keeping it real, digging deep in the dirt of every single deal. From the buy-side pressure to the sell-side heat, the only podcast you need on the Miami street. Hey. Real numbers, real talk. The hyperbole stops here. This is the Miami Condo Exchange, y'all.
Happy Tuesday, Miami. This is the Miami Condo Exchange, a statistical perspective of what's going on. Tri-County, South Florida condo market, Miami-Dade, Broward, Palm Beach County. Today, we're going to be focusing on the South Florida Condo Cliff Index. It's a way to track what's going on real time, week over week in the Tri-County, South Florida area. A lot of people rely on closed sales data. Well, closed sales data is much like unemployment rates. It tells you about what the past was. If you want to know what's going on in the economy today, you go ahead and you check out the indices, whether it's the Dow Jones, the NASDAQ, the S&P 500, the Russell, or any other index you want to be able to track. That's what we did when we created our South Florida Condo Association Financial Cliff Index. Call it the Condo Cliff Index for short. We started on January the 1st of 2025 to coincide with all of the changes that were coming as a result of the Surfside condo collapse, which was almost 5 years ago, if you could believe that. Up in Surfside, right on the border, on 87th Terrace, between Miami Beach to the south and immediately to the north, you had the town or the village of Surfside. That tower went down. Everything changed. Nearly 100 people died. A $1 billion settlement was paid out to the families of the victims, and we created an index in order to track what was going on. We take a look at what's going on in the overall market, then we take a look at the vintage market. Vintage market is going to be those condos that are at least 30 years old or older. Part of the legislation that's come forward as a result of the Surfside tragedy is inspections as well as transparency. Now the state's requiring condo boards to go ahead and share a bunch of information with the residents as well as prospective buyers as well as lenders. One key part of that is doing an inspection every 10 years, something called a Structural Integrity Reserve Study, or SIRS. Every 10 years, condo associations got to do one of these studies. It's done by a licensed architect, a licensed engineer, where they go in there, they evaluate, they come up with a shelf life of all the critical components, turn over the numbers people apply a dollar amount as to what it's going to cost to fix this type of stuff every 10 years. And then the condo board, as of 2026, they can no longer defer. They have to implement a plan in order to pay for it, whether it is a special assessment. Typically, unit owners get a year, or they take out a loan. Loans are primarily coming from private money where the interest rates are 9, 10, 11% or so. So cost of condo living is going up. And at year 30, you have to do what is called a milestone inspection. That is what we designate as a vintage condo. Any building that's at least 30 years old or older, they have a much greater scrutiny as a result of the Surfside condo collapse. And the special assessments that we're ballparking in terms of a figure is if that building's up to 4 stories, it's going to be about $25,000 special assessment. If the building is between 5 and 14 stories, call it $65,000 special assessment. And if it's 15 stories or more, now you're looking at $100,000 special assessment. So we're going to talk today about what's going on in the index, both on the overall market as well as the vintage market. And I'm Peter Zalewski. I'm a condo consultant, expert witness, founder of the Miami Condo Investing Club. I'll be walking you through it. I'll be giving you real-time perspective as to what's going on right now in South Florida. Now that we're in the summer buying season. Summer buying season will go from May through October. This is typically the time when a lot of the transactions close. It's also a time when the value-oriented buyers are in town. During the winter buying season, which will go from November through April, those are a lot of casual buyers. They come here for an event, they come here for vacation, they come here to go on a cruise, they fall in love with it, they catch the bug, and then they start pursuing a condo. By the time any of these people ultimately end up closing, it's going to be in the summer buying season. So we kind of have two different phases. You got wet and you got dry. Summer, which is wet, that's when the closings occur. Winter, which the weather is beautiful, that's when the shopping occurs. So it's a great way to sort of gauge what's going on in the marketplace. And we got the index and the indices in order to track all this. Now, what are the big takeaways coming from the index this week? What we're seeing is that listings are at the lowest point that they've ever been based on our index, which has started again January 1st of 2025, and pending sales are among some of the highest they've been. So what we're seeing is discounting of pricing as the price come down. Buyers are getting off the couch. They're going ahead. They're taking a shot at this. Now, why would prices be coming down? Everybody's telling you about the trees going to the moon. Everybody's telling you about 1,000 people a day coming to Florida. Everybody's telling you about the FIFA World Cup. It's going to do wonders for sales. The reality is a lot of that is hyperbole. What's really going on is buyers increasingly are shifting towards vintage condos, older condos. Why? They're about 35 to 40% cheaper than the overall marketplace. Therefore, buyers are willing to take a shot at that. What is the reason that they were willing to take a shot at? The same rationale that people have when they buy a used car, which today they call a certified pre-owned car. Well, these inspections, they're giving people a little bit of transparency. They're giving them some clarity, and people are willing to go ahead, take a shot at vintage condos. So the buyer today is chasing the old stuff. They're bypassing the other stuff. And why are they doing it? Value. Also, location. These older buildings built 30 years ago, up through 1996, they got a better location. There was more land to choose from. Another reason is the size of the unit. If you're an end user, you want one of these vintage condos because you got more square footage. Back then in a vintage condo, 1,200 square feet for a one bedroom and 2,000 square feet for a two bedroom. Today, one bedroom is 700 to 750 square feet. A two bed is going to be coming in at 1,000 square feet. So if you're an investor, vintage condos might be a little bit of a challenge unless you buy cheap enough. If you're buying strictly for efficiency, it might be a little bit tough. But if you're an end user or you're somebody who's going to have it as a second home, now you can kind of make the numbers work. So that's really what we're seeing going on right now. We're seeing Palm Beach County, which was on a run. This market just took off in 2026. Some of the factors are the Mar-a-Lago effect. President Trump spends practically every weekend at his estate or his club, which is located on Palm Beach Island. It's a short little ride across from downtown West Palm Beach. And as a result of that, we're seeing people buy condos in and around there. We're also seeing the announcement that Vanderbilt University, the private university out of Nashville, Tennessee, they're opening up a campus down here. We're also seeing Stephen Ross, the billionaire, the one who owns the Miami Dolphins, the one who's built a lot of stuff in New York. He goes by Related Ross right now, not to be confused with Related Group, which is with George Perez and his kids. So Related Ross, they're going ahead and they're promoting this Wall Street South concept, a concept that's been kicked around, it's been peddled around for over 100 years, going all the way back to the great Florida land boom of the 1920s. So the real effort is on right now to drive people into West Palm Beach, and people were coming in a big way. And you know when that market peaked? The market peaked the last Tuesday in April. What have we seen since then? We're going down, down, down. So West Palm Beach County on the way down, down, down. Miami-Dade County, it's getting a little bit of air behind its sales. It's starting to get a little bit of progress, starting to take off a little bit. Why? Pricing is coming down. And then Broward County is sort of moving along, and Broward County is still the laggard. If you're an investor, Broward County is where you want to play. Most expensive market is going to be Miami-Dade County. The market that's sort of in flux right now is going to be Palm Beach County. After dominating the winter buying season, Palm Beach County is now facing some real headwinds. We're going to get into all that. I'm going to share some bar charts with you. I'm going to share some graphics with you. I'll give you some numbers, and hopefully at the end of the podcast, you're going to go ahead and you're going to get a great perspective of what's going on. I do podcasts at 4 o'clock weekdays, always talking about a different subject. Monday, we do Miami Condo Mondays. Tuesday, the Miami Condo Exchange. Wednesday, Peter Zalewski Show. Thursday is Condo Capitalism, a distressed real estate podcast. And then Friday, I wrap up the week with a bull versus bear with a gentleman called Daniel Hernandez over at Compass Real Estate. So we're always talking condos 5 days a week, except if there was a holiday. There was a Memorial Day holiday yesterday, so we did not do a podcast. However, we were working. We were grinding it out because so much is going on in this condo market. We're trying to be prepared, trying to take it all in. Because you're watching this live, you're going to be able to watch everything. It's all readily available. You're seeing it on social media, or you're seeing it on our website, miamicondo.club. However, once the podcast is over, we're going to go ahead. We're going to do some quick editing. We will do it for sound. We will do it for look, and then we will make it available on demand. To see this video on demand, you're going to have to be a member of the Miami Condo Investing Club. If you want more information about joining the club, go to miamicondo.club. So all that being said, let's go ahead. We're going to get into the charts. We're going to lay it all out. We're going to give you some perspective visually as to what's going on in the market, and I'll try to fill in some of the blanks for you related to that. So we're going to start off with some charts related to the index, South Florida Overall Condo Cliff Index. Remember, this is all condos in all the land, which is Miami-Dade, Broward, Palm Beach County. Will then follow suit with the vintage market. That's the units that are at least 30 years old or older. Those are the hot market, the hot units right now. Not what the realtors were telling you. All the real estate people were saying, nobody's going to want vintage. It's not going to make any sense. Well, market's going the complete opposite way of what they had told you. So let's go ahead. We'll pull up this chart and we'll get started here.